Hello, Meeker families, and welcome to the family information video. Today we have me, Mr. Check, your principal of Meeker Middle School, and my amazing COVID supervisor and assistant principal, James Van Stralen. Going over the agenda today, we're going to be talking about returning to in-person learning, the family app and COVID-19 attestation, transportation information, upcoming dates regarding iReady testing in March 1st and 2nd, conferences on the 10th and 12th, and then our safety protocols. Looking at returning to school specifically, there's some bullet points that I'd like you to view here and highlight of the information I'll be going over on this video. First and foremost, the family app. We're going to be sending a link out. We've been sending them out. It's extremely important that families register for the family app information and that students complete the attestation process through this website before they arrive at school. We're going to be teaching students this specifically in 6th grade next week on Tuesday. Going over the cohort breakdowns of returning to school. Cohort A will be returning to in-person learning in the afternoons on Monday and Tuesday. And the last names are A through L. Cohort B will be returning to in-person learning on Thursday and Friday with the last name student names of M through Z. We are working with our counseling department and our registrar if there needs to be some changes on the cohorts based on family and students with last names. Looking specifically at the return dates, Thursday, March 4th, 6th graders in cohort B will start. Then the following week on Monday, March 8th, 6th graders from cohort A will be coming to our building. So we'll be having half the 6th graders in person in the afternoon. On March 22nd, we'll be starting with 7th graders with cohort A. And on March 29th, we'll be starting with 8th graders starting with cohort A. Specifically, the hybrid schedule and the why. So we wanted to continue this amazing virtual learning that your students have been taking and doing such a great job at in the first semester, and teachers have learned a ton regarding all the virtual learnings and Schoology and the Teams meetings. So teachers will still get access 4 days a week to students to teach them in 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, or 4th, 5th, and 6th. And those 30-minute virtual lessons will happen obviously in the morning. The afternoon session is where students are coming only half, so students will be coming 2 days a week and be supported and get that one-on-one individualized attention by their teachers. From 9:49 to 11:09, that will be student travel time, and transportations will be picking students up, and students will be getting ready for school to come to our buildings depending on which cohort they are. A, Monday and Tuesday, and B, Thursday and Friday. Specifically, when it goes to Wednesday schedule, we've been doing a virtual support time. Students are required to go to advisory, and we will be looking once we return to in-person of extending that advisory time out for more of the amazing stuff they'll do that I'll talk about at later slides. And I also wanted to highlight iReady as a fabulous resource for math and ELA that students can log on and work on at their individual basis of where they are based on the iReady assessment. Specifically looking at cohort A, here's another model of students' remote learning time, cohort A, 8:15 to 9:49. And that's cohort A students. And then A students in the afternoon coming from 11:09 to 2:45 on Monday and Tuesday. Cohort A will also be remote in the afternoon on Thursday and Friday when cohort B is on campus. So again, the why behind the hybrid schedule is we want to get as much learning done through this global pandemic as possible. So we're continuing our virtual teachings as well as helping differentiate and students with their individual needs in person. Talking specifically about transportation, there's update in transportation happening weekly. We are going to be doing a Teams meeting or a family community night meeting with specific 6th grade parents talking about their transportation and their issues they may have with transportation and coming in the afternoon. Also in the memo that I'll send out tonight, I'm going to be asking families to go ahead and go into the transportation and look that information up. There may be some data and times wrong in there, and please communicate with Kathy Malia in the front office as we work to get 6th grade transportation up and ready to go for next Thursday. How to look up your bus stop. Well, in registration tab to verify student address is correct is extremely important for you to do as your student returns back to Meeker Middle School in this month. Here's some more information regarding transportation. We'll be sending the transportation website as well as how to specifically go and look up your child's bus route, location, pickup time, and drop-off time. Going into school supplies, a lot of questions coming in about school supplies and technologies. We are a one-to-one district now. That's a celebration. So all students have a laptop, and we have new laptops to distribute once students return to on-campus learning. So we'll be asking students to bring their backpacks, students to bring their laptops to school, and making sure it's charged. The new computers hold 5 to 6 hours of charging, so it shouldn't be an issue as long as students charge them, and we will have charging stations for them as well when they return to school. Students should also bring their binders with their notebooks. And there will be no lockers at this time, as that will minimize the transition time from class to class and social distancing. So students will keep all of their laptops and student school supplies in their backpacks and be going from class to class of the 3 periods they're here in the afternoon. Additional supplies may be sent out specifically with math and ELA regarding what they may specifically want for their course by the teachers. So be sure to be connecting with your students on other additional school supplies that may be needed. But Tacoma has been an amazing district and provided school supplies for all their students for several years now. So if students don't have a binder or a backpack, feel free, we'll let the advisory teacher know and we will fill that need. Also, students won't be changing to suit up for PE. So with that, we've allowed some leniency to our dress code, specifically to gym shorts and sweatpants. So we're asking students that if they're participating in PE, they're free to wear sweatpants or gym shorts to school. And the tops of the Meeker hoodies are considered still dress code. So more information around dress code and where it is and the changes and updates will be sent in the memo today as well. Lots of questions regarding students eating lunch. So obviously students will not be having masks off and 95 of them being in the commons eating lunch before. So students will actually check in, make sure that they've done their attestation before they enter our building and be going to their advisories to eat lunch. Advisory has been an amazing program through this global pandemic that supported social emotional needs of students. We have character lessons and also the equity lessons that students have been learning, as well as weekly advisory check-ins where the advisory teacher is actually checking on the whole child of their grades and making sure that they're squared away and in those support times if they're struggling. We're going to continue this as the smallest group setting where students will be eating lunch between 11:09 and 11:39 in their advisory classes and getting a chance to check in with those teachers that supported them this entire time. Specifically upcoming dates with iReady for math and reading, we're going to be testing actually on March 1st and 2nd, our second administration from home on iReady through advisory in the afternoons. In conferences, we'll be sharing that information of your students' growth from this fall to this right now here in March, on March 10th through 12th. Advisory teachers will be sending out a time for you to sign up for that individualized parent meeting and the students, where we get to talk about their academic growth as well as their social emotional needs. So we look forward to seeing all participate in this virtual format. That said, I'm just more than happy to bring students back to our building in a safe and secure manner. And I'm going to transition to Mr. Van Stralen, where he will be sharing safety protocols of students returning to our building.
I just wanted to say hi to everybody. Thank you for being on the call with us. As I situate my screen, I have a document here. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the protocols and procedures as we bring students back into the building. Like Principal Check said, we're excited to have 6th graders cohort B back on March 4th and A back on March 8th. And so in this document, we're going to share this document with you on the email that comes with this message. So if you want to look over this again, you are more than welcome to. If something's confusing, make sure you ask a question. We're going to have an opportunity for you to continue to go to the form survey to ask further questions and clarification that you may need. That being said, kind of the organization of this document has some guidelines specific to Meeker Middle School, and I'm going to go over those. And then as you get further down, it has more district-wide guidelines. And keep in mind, any district guideline is something that we do abide by here at Meeker. But that's generally how this document's going to be situated. So I'm just going to jump right in. So first, to talk about some of the safety measures and procedures that we have, is everyone, while they're on campus here, is going to wear a mask. There are only 2 possible exceptions where students may not have a mask on, and that is if they have a documented medical issue that prevents it, or while they're eating lunch. Although as students are eating lunch, we are asking that every time they take a bite or take a drink that they recover their mouths with their masks. That way we're abiding by these regulations as best we can. Also, as we transition, another key piece is that if a student doesn't have a mask that they've brought from home, or perhaps they dropped it, or it broke, or they forgot it, or maybe it gets a hole, whatever the reason may be, we do have masks available if needed. I will emphasize that students who do refuse to wear a mask will be removed from the instructional space until they comply. It is one of the most key components of coming back safely here. We're also going to have students maintain 6 feet of social distancing and spacing from others at all times as best they can. We're not going to use lockers, as Mr. Check talked about, so backpacks are going to be taken throughout from period to period throughout the day with them. Restrooms, we are not going to have restrooms open during the entry of the building, during passing periods, or during the exit of the building. If your student needs to use the bathroom, it needs to wait until they're in class with their teacher, and then they have to ask their teacher for permission. And we're going to have teachers write a one-time single-use paper pass for the student to go to the bathroom with. We're also asking that teachers only allow 1 student out of the classroom at any given time, just to continue to keep some control on spacing and movement throughout the building. There will be traffic markings throughout the building on the floor, such as stickers, arrows, markings, posters on the walls, signs all over the place that are educating and continuing to reiterate that you need to stay to the right and maintain 6 feet apart as best you can through the hallways. One of the big questions that we get is what happens if a student feels ill while they're at school. So what we're going to do is have the teacher have the student step outside of the classroom. They're going to need to wait right outside the classroom as the teacher calls to the front office. We'll send a staff member to go escort them to the office, and there our nurse will do a quick assessment before entering the office. If there are COVID-like symptoms, they're not going to come into the office. We actually have a room just off to the side of our offices that is called our isolation room, and that's where we will have students with COVID-like symptoms going. That way our nurses room in the main office can still operate for other situations that may come. There is more information in this document below in what we're calling the reactive measures section. So if you want to see more information about it, you can check there. A couple of things about entry into the building. I have it here. We're going to have students, all students to enter the building have to complete their attestation. We're having students who have completed their Family App attestation at home enter through the main commons entrance, which is at the north side of the building. And if they haven't completed their attestation at home, we'll have them enter through the main entrance. But our hope and our goal is that all students will be coming to school with the attestation completed on the Family App at home. And then that way, if there's a yes answer to any of the questions like, do I have symptoms or have I been in contact with anybody, and you answer yes, parents can and families can keep those students home before even sending them to the building. Lunch, like Mr. Chet brought up, we are having students eat lunch in the building. It is optional. If you want to have your student eat lunch before they come, that is totally fine. We will have on-campus lunches available from our cafeteria. If a student needs it, they can utilize it, but they can only eat in their advisory class. If a student wants to bring a lunch from home, they can also do that as well. But once again, the only time we're allowing students to eat in the classroom or in the building at all is during their advisory / lunchtime period. There will be extra garbage cans throughout the building in the hallways, and we're going to have teachers in an orderly fashion have students go out one at a time to drop their garbage off in the trash cans. Reiterating it again, while eating lunch, students should recover their mouths with their mask between each bite and drink. Also, if students are looking to talk in advisory while lunch is also occurring, they shouldn't talk until their mask is back on. So if their mask is not on, they should not be talking. Passing periods, so at the end of each class period, teachers are going to dismiss their students in an orderly fashion so that they can maintain their distance as they exit the room. And once again, they're going to go straight from one class to the other in the most direct way they can, following arrows, markings, and the directions on of signs on the wall. At the end of the day, each classroom, based on where your student ends up, their end of the day classroom will have a designated exit that will be made very clear to them by their teacher, and students are going to exit based on that and following the patterns on the floor. So for example, if a student's last class of the day is in the 6th grade hallway, they're going to be directed to use the 6th grade hallway exit, and so on and so forth. Those are some Meeker specific procedures and guidelines. To go over a couple of things from the district, we've broken these into proactive measures and reactive measures just simply because reactive measures tend to have a lot more of the what ifs as opposed to the proactive, which is what we're doing already. So we do have PPE available. There's plenty of sinks throughout the building. There will be hand sanitizer throughout that your student can utilize, making sure students have proper hygiene and washing their hands 30 seconds with warm water and soap. We also will be able to provide masks if they don't have one or need one. And there's various other things throughout the building that is available. A couple of specifics: the daily cleaning routine in the classroom will start with just the teacher, what they have in there that they can utilize. So that they have 2 spray bottles. The first one is a hand soap and water mixture. And so at the end of each period, a teacher is going to have give students a paper towel. They'll spray down their surfaces. Students will use the paper towel to clean off their space that they've used, the surface there, so that on their way out, they can throw that away. And then when they get to their next classroom, assuming it's happening in every room, they can go to a clean desk. The second bottle contains what is called 25A disinfectant. So this spray is to only be used by the teacher. This one is to be sprayed at the end of each day, and it's a spray that is not wiped. You leave it and it dries on its own, and in the amount of time that's designated, which is approximately 10 minutes, it disinfects through that time. There's also more information later on in this document that goes a little bit more into detail. But that's just during the day with the teacher. Can't iterate it enough. I have it on here again. Make sure you're taking the family app attestation. Not a single person enters our building without taking it, including staff members. Daily custodial cleaning routines. They have a specific routine here that they do for the classrooms, specific to the bathrooms, as well as hallways and stairs. Every day they're going through their routine cleaning, and they are taking care of our building very well. I'll briefly bring up ventilation. That was a question that was asked quite a bit. We fall well into the recommended heating, ventilation, and air conditioning areas throughout our building. All of our buildings in Tacoma have the appropriate air exchange rates, and they have the appropriate filters, and they're routinely checked. And so if you want to read some more specifics here, you can. Ours are in good shape, and it's something that we've continually been monitoring as we go. If you do want to see more information about what we're following, you can click these links from the Tacoma Pierce County Health Department for schools. Final thing, I'm not going to go through too much of the reactive measures, but I do have some information you can follow along with here. For the most up-to-date guidelines, I have the TPCHD website as well as their case response toolkit that you can follow. But I have a couple of graphics here for you to see regarding quarantine and isolation. Also the question protocol that we're going to go through, because every scenario when you potentially have a COVID-19 positive result or not, it goes through a series of questions that helps us get to our answer, and then some of the determinations we're using and utilizing as we go. Last thing here, there's some scenarios that you could read through, like what if this happens? This gives you some idea on what our protocol is going to be. I will let you read through those. Thank you so much for listening to me here. I hope that answered some questions. Once again, if you feel like you still have questions, to go onto our forums and make sure you ask them there, because we want to make sure you understand what's happening as we are getting ready to bring students back. With that being said, that concludes my portion of it. Thank you so much for being here, and we will talk to you soon.
Also wanted to let sixth grade families know before we end here that next Tuesday we will be doing a Q&A session specifically to sixth grade families for what questions they have, as their students have not even been into Meeker Middle School. We're doing some great work regarding orientation and getting students familiar with our school. So more to come. And again, thank you for watching this video, and thank you for being the #1 school secondary with the signing up for the family app. We're going to highly encourage that we continue to be #1 and we get 100% before we return to school of sixth graders before we return to school next Thursday. Thank you.